Welcome to this Community Spotlight. I'm Brendan O'Leary, Head of Community for Project Discovery, and I'm here with
Simon Nollet.
Thanks for joining us today, Simon. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we're actually together because we're filming Hardly Strictly Security, so I'm not sure when this will come out versus that, but if you haven't seen Hardly Strictly Security, check it out. Simon was talking for us today. What were you talking about today?
Hardening your perimeter with open source tooling.
Cool. And so do you use Project Discovery tooling, other tooling? What kind of tooling do you use when you think about that?
Mainly ProjectDiscovery, honestly. Like there's a lot of stuff that you guys have redone that is, well, a wrapper and makes my life just better because it interacts with all the other tools. But like a lot of tools like all DNS, we've talked about. Zero I use like to extract subdomain names, not subdomain, but subject alternate name from certificate. I really use that as well.
Yeah. Then which project discovery tools do you use the most, do you think?
Nuclei.
Yeah.
By far is the most flexible and what I think is revolutionary because like before you can use a vulnerability scanner like Nessus or other. You don't like, it just scans. It's a black box basically. It scans and tells you something or not. You really can't validate if the testing is done properly. Like can you tweak it? Can you integrate a WAF bypass or something like that into it?
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's really critical. That's definitely something that got me really interested. When did you do you remember when you first discovered Project Discovery and the tools or Nuclei, and like what problem were you trying to solve that led you down that path?
Recon. I really am an advocate for finding your perimeter. That's pretty much why the talk, but finding the list of possible attack surface that you have, it really helped me for that.
Yeah, I think in bug bounty hunting and pen testing, red teams, we know that, but I say that like I knew it. But when I first came into security from kind of the DevOps world, I was honestly a little surprised to see how unsolved of a problem that is of like, wait, what is the perimeter? What is out there? What is the attack surface? So
even companies don't really know what they actually have.
Right, yeah, it's really incredible that you might, run a company. I mean, once you think about it, I think it makes sense. You've got a massive organization, you've got all kinds of people trying to, get the job done, but it leads to the sprawl of the attack surface that's just really hard to manage.
But we can give an example just within the real world. If you're trying to protect your house, you will be thinking about closing the doors and the windows. Mm-hmm. But do you really think about checking the maid that's coming to do the cleaning? Technically, it's a risk.
Yeah, that's true.
There's really a lot of attack surface if you think about it.
Yeah, and the larger the building, the more attack surface there is. Did you lock every door? The loading dock. You're right there. You have all these other kind of different things that come in that it's then harder to secure. And so if you're going to think about it holistically, you've got step one is to find the whole attack surface because an attacker is going to find it. And so if you don't, that's a big problem. Okay, so that's a lot about how you use Project Discovery. Let's go back in time a little bit. How did you kind of get into, this world of bug bounty hunting and pen testing and red teaming? Like, what got you into that side of the world?
I really like to solve puzzles, so it was a way to stimulate, challenge, like intellectually solve a problem, basically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I've been a problem solver my whole life, so I agree. Is there a particular really tough challenge or one of the hardest puzzles that you've had to solve before that you can think of, and what did it take to overcome it?
I quite like to do to give the attacker mindset in incident response because it needs to challenge pretty much the whole notion of defense in depth. Is it really exploitable? How do you approach it? Because sure, attacking things and breaking things is one way, but if you also need that input to fix things, it really puts everything in perspective because you can't just say, I just changed all the passwords that are weak. Mm-hmm. It have a business impact. You need to take that into account. So basically you add other layer of complexity to the equation, which I think is interesting.
Nice. Okay, so this is the easier / hard section because it's the controversial section. What's your machine setup? What OS are you running? This is the controversial area.
Honestly, I use Arch Linux, so you probably don't know a lot of people who does that. But the main reason is I like to control stuff. So mm-hmm. I use a window manager because I want to be more efficient with the keyboard, basically. Mm-hmm. And Arch Linux forces you to understand pretty much everything out of the bat. So
then are you coding in Vim or Emacs?
We have VS Code.
VS Code, okay. Hey, good. That's my answer, and I'm assuming if someone's running Arch, that I'm already out of my depth as I sit with my MacBook running Mac OS. Okay, so what's the first computer or tech device that you remember owning in your life?
Owning, I was pretty much probably a SNES, like a Nintendo SNES. It's a
okay,
device,
yeah.
technically.
Yeah, sure. So that was like your first maybe introduction
Technology to me, owning, not just using. Owning,
Sure.
yes.
Yeah. What's the first? I am adding this question on the fly because this is very real in my life. What's the first piece of tech you remember breaking?
It's a motherboard. Like when I was 7 years old. My parents wanted to put restriction on computer usage, which it makes sense as they want to be a good parent. But it just made me want to know how to defeat that. So the first thing I did, I think I was 7 years old, but to remove the battery on the CMOS to reset the password on the motherboard. That's pretty much the first thing that I remember. But I mean, I didn't invent the attack. I Googled it, but...
Yeah, but hey, I mean, so you were hacking from age 7 then, basically.
Hacking is not
that's-
just offensive things. Just creating solution from something. I like to do escape room. I think it's hacking as well.
Yeah.
Like, to find creative solution on the problem you're having, it's hacking to me.
Yeah, that's great. All right, getting back to security, what role do you think that automation and tools are going to play in the next 5 years of security?
I mean, we have a penury of smart people in the field, so it makes sense to want to automate as much as possible. Also, at least the people I know want to use more brain to be more analyst, so to do repetitive tasks is not really wanted. So to automate everything, I think automate everything you can is the best way to go forward.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's just, there gets to be a point of complexity where you have to bring automation in, right? I came from the DevOps world, and I feel like that's what happened with the whole term of DevOps. Like, why is DevOps even a term? It's like, eventually operations became so complex that you have to automate it. And I think we're seeing that, I think it's been true in security for a while, but I think we're seeing the realization of that being a necessity in security. Okay, and then just lastly, what are you working on right now, or what did you just finish working on, if you can tell us about it, if anything interesting?
Honestly, I think like at the moment I'm more of an infrastructure pen tester,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm trying to get more into coding because I really I've learned DevOps like a year ago. I'm so behind. Like to create challenges before I was like getting angry for 2 weeks and like putting my challenge up, but
Yeah.
it's not scalable. So I think I really need in my skill set as a pen tester to be able to follow the trends. I need to learn how to code properly and automate stuff.
Yeah.
Even in attacks.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that, I mean, I'm biased on that ProjectDiscovery, but yeah, I think this is a really critical part of what the next kind of evolution of security engineering looks like. So I couldn't agree more. All right, well, thanks so much
Thank you.
for being here. Again, really excited about your talk at Hardly Strictly Security. It was great. I just saw it. You all may be able to see it soon. And yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you.